Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I'm a candle maker, mum of three, and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by my free ebook, The Candle Business Marketing Kickstarter Kit. Inside this free ebook, you'll learn to identify your blocks of time to dedicate to your candle business. Plus, there are several tips and tricks for re-engaging past customers and attracting new customers into your business so you can grow your business and reach your goals. Check out the link in the show notes for your copy. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend. Today we have a very lovely guest with us. We have Rhonda Nelson from Nelson Soapery. She is an incredible candle and soap maker and is actually the founder of the Australian Soaping and Candle Conference, which we will talk about a little bit later. But for now, Rhonda, do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So obviously my name's Rhonda. I do own a soap and body company, so we make products of course, which are behind me. And then, of course, I have a YouTube channel. I also own a conference. So this all started as a hobby and blew up, really. So over the last probably 4.5 years, so it's taken. But so that's my main goal. I mean, my main thing is I'm super passionate about small business and helping an everyday mom just succeed. That is my absolute passion.
I love that you've got such a big drive towards helping others. And I feel like, especially with the other candle makers I speak to, the ones that seem to be on the track for success faster are the ones that are focused on the customer and how they can add the most value to their customer rather than thinking, how can I get the most sales? So I love that your focus is on helping other mums succeed with whatever passion or with whichever path that they choose.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's great. And I do think, sharing is caring. It is all a part of, the business world. We can't keep everything to ourselves. Of course, you've got to keep some little secrets of your own special products. But at the end of the day, I do agree. I think if you help, you create that community. And community, I just think it's been such a big thing for me. I've learned met some amazing people that have helped me along the way too. And I know that I've helped them too. So I think that is super important.
Yes, definitely. That collaboration and community over competition is such a positive spin on how people look at people in the industry.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you started your candle and soap journey as a hobby. Do you want to explain to us how it evolved into the successful business that you have now?
Yeah, sure. So by trade, I'm an interior designer. And during COVID, or just kind of at the very start of COVID, actually, things got a little bit crazy. And being a designer, well, I would go into homes and style them for them to be sold or display homes. And obviously, I couldn't enter a home. So I thought, what am I going to do? And then I actually thought, well, maybe I can make some products and they can be a part of my display items also in homes that were a little bit different, and a nice candle that smelt nice when people entered the home. And because selling a home is all about, everything. So it's about the scent and the lifestyle and everything you're trying to sell to somebody. So I guess that's kind of where it started. And then my daughter, who at the time was about 12, my youngest daughter, she said, why don't you do YouTube? And I said, who wants to watch an old lady make soap? And she said, well, someone might. So that's basically where it started. It was just a little hobby. And I thought, look, can I make soap? Because I knew how to make a candle. I'd made a candle when I was young at school and a teacher taught me. So, but candles were not my first thing. It was soap. So anyway, and then I made a soap. It smelled terrible. It looked ugly, but it turned into hard soap. So I was like, oh, so good. So really that is where it all started. And I honestly never had any idea to have a business. I never looked at it. I'd never thought I was even going to sell a bar of soap. It was really for us. And I just thought, oh, we'll make something, for our home. I was getting older and I wanted more of a natural soap, not a commercial based one. So I guess that's kind of where it all started.
I love that you went into it unassuming of your path and you were just willing to go on the journey and see where it would take you. And now I think you've got over 11,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is such an achievement. So well done to you.
Thank you.
It's incredible. What was the process like when you first started your business? Did you find it overwhelming or did you sort of hit the ground running?
Like I said, it was a hobby, so I didn't look at it as a business. But then once actually what happened, so after I did my YouTube, I started YouTube, I didn't even really do much, to be honest. I started it and just left it. And I thought, oh, no one's going to watch me. And, because I only did it like 4-minute videos or something, nothing too exciting. And anyway, then I made some soaps, practiced and, over 6 months probably. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a market. So I actually did a market. And my first market, I sold $80. And I thought, oh, that's pathetic, So I wasn't happy. But then the second market, I sold $800. So I thought, wow, maybe I can actually do this. And I had lots of people saying they really loved the idea. And, I think the thing is too, when you're selling, you have to talk to people. So for me, I was, telling them, I'm just a mum, just a mum from the suburbs. And that has always been my catchphrase or my line. Because, I grew up in the era where women, you just became a mum and that was it. So, because I'm in my 50s. And then I thought, well, you know what? You can be a mum and it's not just a mum, but maybe other mums at home might want to learn something and they can actually do this at home. So they don't have to put their kids in childcare. Maybe there's another avenue. So kind of that's, I guess, how the business started. I wasn't overwhelmed because generally I am a pretty confident person. And once I put my mind to it, I'll do a lot of research. So I spent massive amount of time on research, huge amount, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours before I did anything.
Oh, wow. And it's so important, though, to do that initial research, but also to not get stuck in inaction and just absorbing the information. It's so important to actually put what you're learning into practice so that you can make a difference with whatever path you're taking, whether that's candles or soaps or any business. It's so easy just to stay in that space of, oh, no, I'm learning, I'm working on the business, but really you're not actually taking any action that's moving the needle in your business. So I commend you for doing the work, putting in the hours, and then taking the action to get your business off the ground.
Yeah, thank you. And I do see, especially with soap making, a lot of people say, oh, practice for a year, but you know what? You even if you're practicing, you still got to give it to your family or something, get them to try it, even before you're selling it, And, I mean, insurance, we won't go there. That's another subject. But, people, I think we're smart enough to know you've got to have that. But, not just that, but, you can't be sitting there forever doing research. You do need to try and sell it or try and ask your neighbour, would you like to try it? Give me a feedback. Because, the one thing I say to people is at the start, you think your product's good. And I thought my product was pretty good. After I got going, I thought it's pretty good. But now you look back and you learn so many things. Every year I learn so much more. And then you think, actually, I didn't know as much. So I always say you always pivot. You're always learning. You're always growing, evolving. So just make the soap at the start. And at the start, I used certified palm. Now I don't. Now I'm totally vegan. I'm not a vegan personally myself, but all my products are vegan, the same as they're all palm free. They're all sustainably sourced, ethically sourced. I work with, and as I've done YouTube, I've actually come across and worked now with a lot of companies that, I work with places like Deluxe Shea, and they are a company, they get a lot of their products from Ghana, so it's all produced in Ghana. So then from there, I've actually done lots of videos with them to understand how the women manufacture it, use it. So all about the product, not just about making it, but, behind the scenes of how we actually get that butter to our front door. So that's where I'm a bit passionate about not just buying anything, but making sure I'm supporting an Australian company that's producing it. But also, in turn, like I said, I'm helping those women that need an income in Ghana, and they, it's our shea butter is pretty much done by 99% of women. So there's not many men involved in that. So I love that. I love that whole story.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so fascinating hearing how passionate you are about not only supporting mums, but women in general, and giving them a purpose and a passion that they can live their life with while you do the same. It's about that, again, that community and building up other people so that they can live the lives that they want.
Yeah. And I think, the thing is, I do think as, a Western culture, I think we have a responsibility, like we are very privileged. And I do think we have a responsibility to understand where the products are coming from. The companies we're using, look, there's all different ways. Everyone wants to use a different product, which is okay, but it doesn't matter whether you're using something that has a paraffin, if that's what you want to use. But I just think you need to do the research about it. How is that coming into play? How is it getting here? How is it sourced, manufactured? Is it affecting the environment? I just think there's so many things. We can't just think anymore, oh, well, it's cheap and I'll use it. We just can't.
Can you walk us through your creative process when developing a new soap or candle scent?
Yeah, sure. So when I develop anything, I always go back to the drawing board. I write everything on paper because I'm a bit old school. But once I know what I'm doing and recording everything, I do record everything in an Excel. But before that, basically, you sort of know the ingredients you want to use. So if we talk about candles, because that's a lot easier than soap, for me, I always use coconut soy. I don't use paraffins or anything like that. So basically, I will start with that. And then none of my candles are one scent. So they're all mixed scents. And people often ask me how I do that. I think the main thing is, you need, I might be wrong, but this is how I do it. But, when you've got the scent, you just need to make sure that the scents have the same numbers. So from your supplier, when you go into your supplier, so they'll all have different flash points and everything else. And I always look at things like that to try and keep them even, because it's no good having one that says you can only use 9% and another says you can only use 6%, because some fragrances you can't actually use heaps. So I think if you don't do that, then you're kind of trying to balance, okay, how much of this can I use and how much of that? And it makes it very messy. So I think if you're going to blend it, you just need to do a little bit of work behind the scenes. And sometimes, it doesn't work. I've done some and I think, oh, that smells awful. And I thought it was going to be great. So you can't sell everything you make. That's the one thing I do say. Have some old jars that you're just going to play around with the scent before you actually use your good jar and make it. So we've all got a jar that you can dig out the stuff and start again, dig out and throw it away or whatever if you're not going to use that. But basically for candles, that's how I do mine. I just basically play around with the scent, but I usually do have an idea. So my target market is generally, I always sell like florals. Some people sell a lot of sweet things. I hardly ever sell sweet things. The only one I sell is one that I call raspberry musk, which is kind of a lollies and kind of a raspberry wine almost scent. So that one is one I sell, but generally it's florals. So you know what works with florals. And if you put it on your site and no one's buying it, it's not moving, it's not good for your target audience. And then you kind of got to remove it, maybe go back to the background, sell it out, and then try and get something else. But I try not to have too many sales, because once you have too many sales and people just wait for the sale, they're not going to pay full price.
Yes, so that's a really good point, actually, because so many people I speak to, obviously candle makers, have the belief that if they discount their products, they'll generate more sales. And as you say, they might be able to do that, but then the customers won't pay full price. They'll just wait until the next sale. So
yeah. And, look, even with my candles, so I sell one that's 220 grams. It is, I do make my own jars now. So it is a stone jar, but I charge almost $40 for that. Now, a lot of people go, oh, my goodness, $40. But, I don't have a problem selling them. And that's the thing. If your product is quality, if you're taking the photos right, because photos are imperative to selling. And I've learnt so much as I go along, and I always tell everyone, go to YouTube. There are so many videos that are free on how to actually take photos on your iPhone. Look in the settings and go on portrait mode and, just go back and forward on those settings, because that's super important. But I think we kind of need to look at the holistic thing when you're making a candle. It's not just about the scent.
Exactly. That's right. There are so many different components to consider when making candles, and fragrance or scent is just one aspect of it.
Yeah, that's right. I just think it's super important. I mean, for me, I don't use colours anymore. I love using the colours, but I just realised people didn't want it. I did do some colours in one of my YouTube, but then I just realised I've got a daughter that has a company. She just wanted them for her business, so I made them for her to sell. But for myself, they're always white. And I sort of think if you're starting, just try and start simple. Honestly, I wasted a lot of money at the start buying so many fragrances, so many colours, which everyone does because you're all excited, but it's a waste of money. And then when you really want to do this as a business or wholesale, because I sell on wholesale on Fair as well, and do a few different labels, private labels. When you're actually doing that, you just have to try and cut back on everything because you need that money. You need the extra money. And, if you buy just a tiny little fragrance, then often I think you go, oh, no, I shouldn't have bought that. Like sometimes we just like the name, but I think you have to come back to a business person and be, okay, I've got to be savvy with my money because candles are expensive to make. They're very expensive. All the testing is a little bit of a waste. It's a waste, but it's not. You need to do it. But there's so many things involved. So I just think, be careful with your money and just try and be strict with yourself. Give yourself a smack on the hand when you're buying too many things and say, no, I can't do that. So that's definitely my tip with candle making, is be a bit strong to say no.
That's so true. And particularly because so many people have the belief that they should start off with a lot of scents or a lot of products. So I'll start off with candles and wax melts and reed diffusers and hanging diffusers and room sprays, and it becomes so overwhelming for a beginner that they don't know which products are going to sell to their ideal customer. They don't know who their niche is or what their niche is. And they end up, as you say, spending way too much money on products and things and supplies that they just won't be using or won't be selling. So start small, start with just one jar of one size. Make sure you're perfecting candle at each scent as you go, because each fragrance needs a different fragrance load or percentage in the candle. You need to do your testing. It needs to be thorough. And if you're not prepared to do the testing, you shouldn't be making candles.
Well, that's right. And, often too, you'll be at a market and you'll have someone say, I like a really strong candle. I want you to put extra. And I always, when I first started, I thought, oh, can I? Because you think you want to impress the customer. You want the sale. You want them to come back. But I think as you get a lot more knowledge, you feel stronger to say, look, actually, no, I'm a professional. And there is only a limit I can go up to. So I think, at the start, you're like, oh, I'll think about it. But, like I said, as you get more professional, you get a bit of a backbone to say no, because you realise it does affect you, because it's your insurance, it's your making, you're wasting products. And 9% doesn't mean, that it's better than 10 or 6. Depends on the fragrance, the wax. So, don't just think, well, it says I can use up to 10%, so I'll use 10%. I always say, don't think of that. You just need to test, but be strong, because it is hard. And, often you'll get somebody say, well, I really like lemongrass. And people think, oh, well, I don't have that, but I'll go and buy it because someone said that. And that's what I did at the start. But then you might get no one else want lemongrass. So, I think you really have to just remember this is your business. Just do the products that you're comfortable doing at the start. Don't worry what the customer says about wanting an extra fragrance, because they may only ever buy one. Of course, you want to hear the feedback from the customer. That's vital. But, I don't think we need to bring in extra fragrances just because someone says they like it. It doesn't mean they're going to buy it. And also, don't just go and make one because Mavis down the road said, I'll pay you $50 to make this candle with that fragrance, because she may never come back again. Even though she's making one, and then the time to make just one, it's a lot of time. So if you calculate your time, the fragrance you bought, you've actually made no money anyway, because, you know, you need to sell lots to make money. So I think there are a lot of the things that I've learnt along the way, because you really feel like you want to impress the customer. But sometimes, and I've actually had a customer said this to me, she said, Rhonda, the reason I kept coming back to you is you said no to me at the start.
Wow.
And I always think that's funny. And she said, I looked at that you were a professional because you said no. And she asked me to go up to 12% fragrance, and I said no. I said, it will seep out. It's dangerous. I'm not going to do that. It's not what I do. I follow the guidelines. And she was like, you know, anyway. So, and, you know, a lot of people would think, well, I might do it because I want to keep that customer. But in the end, she's returned because she thought I was professional. So sometimes no, you know, the answer no really sort of can help you in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about us learning all the ins and outs of making the product, but we're also educating our customers on what's safe and what's possible and how to best use the products as well. So it's like that continuation of learning that flows through us to the customer. And when we explain or we educate that a full melt pool is necessary for the first burn, and that's how we avoid tunneling, and make sure you trim your wicks, and all the things that seem so common to us isn't necessarily what the customer knows. And if you can stand strong in the knowledge that you've obtained, it'll help, put you in a good position and a good positive light with your customers.
Yeah. And, you know, one thing that I always say to people when they ask me things about candles, when I was at the market, this is the thing that, you know, is funny. You might make a candle that's pretty. And like I used to make ones that have elements on. So they'd have like a little ice cream or something on top. Well, you get children come to say, oh, I want to buy it. And they grab it. And I'd say, well, does mummy know you're buying a candle? So I never let a child buy one because I'm a mum of lots of children. And you'll be amazed the amount of kids that might go home and light that without their mum knowing, because mum gives them $10 and says, okay, go down there and buy it. So I always say, and then the mums come back and I say, look, are they allowed to have the candle? I don't intend these for children. They need supervision. And I've had quite a few mums say, that is so good. I've never had someone ask me that question. And I just think, because I've got lots of children, my kids, my oldest daughter's 30. So I think, you know, that's just something I've learned. And I did know someone that was in a house fire once before. So we never think it will happen, but you do need to ask, especially if the child's 6 or 8, because that's the kind of age where they might get a lighter at home and try it, put it in their bedroom and light it. So
it's a scary thought as to what could happen if we're not being conscious about the children coming to buy candles. It just, it blows my mind that could be something that could end in disaster.
Because too, like, they smell pretty. Some of them smell like ice creams and lollies. So to a child, they're like, you know, and it does look gorgeous. I mean, you see all those ones and milkshake sort of, you know, looking ones.
The novelty candles,
Yeah, and so it would entice a child to buy that. But I think, you know, it's the same as the old story of children and water don't mix when they're alone. I mean, they need to be supervised. I strongly believed children do need to be supervised a lot, you know, around candles and educated. So that's where it's good to ask mum or dad or nana, whoever is with them, you know, are they allowed to have this? And I have had a few mums say, actually, no.
That's good.
You know,
yeah.
And you could actually have that parent come back and yell at you if you sold it to them.
Yeah.
Because on my candles, it says not recommended for children. And it says that on my site as well. And then, so how can you have that on your products, but then you sell it to them?
Yes.
So there is a responsibility and a duty of care when we're making a product.
Absolutely. And it's not just getting insurance and relying on that. We have to be smart with our decisions throughout our business journey.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
When you start your candle business, there are so many things to consider and research along the way, especially when it comes to choosing the right suppliers. Long Story Short provides all your design and printing needs, from your logo and branding to designing and printing your product labels. The quality is exceptional, the customer service is amazing, and prices are very reasonable. They're the only label company I recommend, so check out their website or send them an email today to get started. hello@longstoryshortdesign.com.au. Tell us about your biggest win in your business so far.
My biggest win. Are we talking about sales or?
However you define it.
Depends. I mean, see, I don't really look at a sale as being a win. Like, yes, it's great that people are buying your product, but branding to me is more important than the sales, because the sales come once you have branding. So I guess in saying that, I would actually say, my biggest win is meeting a lot of people that have really helped my business evolve. Because, and then they might just be candle makers or soap makers. I've met lots of them. And then they will tell you about how they brand, and I always give away a lot of information, and so do they. But I think my biggest win that I was very excited about was when I hit the 10,000 on YouTube. I said, oh my God, I'm famous.
Yay.
And my kids and that, we all went out for dinner one day, and we're at the local restaurant, and I actually there was a sign that said reserved, on another table. So I got it put on ours. And I said to my son, who's 21, I said, now sit at that end, and when I'm ready, I'll sign the autographs for you, because now I'm famous.
I love
they
that.
still tease me.
I love that. But it's true. It's such a testament to the hard work, the effort, the consistency that it takes to build a business, or even just on YouTube, but to build that to that and up to those numbers. It's incredible to see that what you're creating and what you're putting out there, people are resonating with, they're feeling connected in with you, and they want to share in your journey and support you in that way. So, it's just a huge, huge congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and I do think, look, because a lot of people ask me, how did you get there? Or, and because people they see the numbers and they think that I started with heaps. I started with one person, which was my husband. I mean, I really started with no one else. I didn't have all my family buying things. They didn't buy my products. And that's what I say to people. They're not your market. Don't worry about your family. They want the discount or the freebie. They don't want to pay. So don't worry about them. You just have to slowly build. And, I did I think it was 101 videos on YouTube before I made even 1 cent. So you have to be so dedicated to make videos. It took me a year before I was even qualified to make any money on YouTube. And that meant I had to make all those videos to get the subscribers and the hours up. But, and that's what I say to people. You need to be so dedicated. I didn't have anyone. I haven't paid for subscribers or anything like that. Everything's organic, which takes time. But you don't want to pay somebody, because if you pay them, they're not your target market. They haven't come there to buy it.
Exactly.
They've come because you paid. So that doesn't mean you're getting a sale. So I think organic is the way to go. And, even if you start YouTube, it may take you 2 years before you even get 1,000 people. But if you're dedicated, you just don't know where this is going to lead. And as I said, I never thought this would lead to me having a conference or having a YouTube, wholesaling. All these things never entered my mind a few years ago. So, but you can do it. You can do it. We're in the best age where everything's free. All these social medias are free. It costs nothing to have a YouTube channel. So, I always say tap into those free resources first.
And be willing to do the work, and know that if it's your passion, because motivation, it ebbs and flows, but if it's your passion and if you're consistent in doing the work, you will find success, no matter how you define that, because it's about putting that one foot in front of the other and just focusing on where you're going, rather than sitting back and complaining that life isn't the way that you want it to be.
Yeah. And I mean, lots of people say to me, oh, I don't have the numbers you have. I get that all the time. But as I say to them, I was where they were years ago. So I do remember what that was like being, and you feel really negative. That negativity starts to eat at you, because you think, oh, such and such has 1,000 people, or they're selling a candle, I'm not. Like, it is really deflating when you're trying so hard. Your product's beautiful. You can almost taste it. You can almost, reach success. I always say that I do remember those things. But this is the thing. And, and as I say to people too, I don't make a sale every day. So just because you see me all over media, it doesn't mean that I'm selling $20,000 a week. I don't sell anywhere near those numbers, definitely nowhere near those numbers. But it's just about pushing. And I always say, you need the revenue streams. I think it is so important. So, I always say to people, if somebody doesn't buy from my site for even a month, it's not going to affect me surviving because I'm earning money on YouTube. I'm earning money on Patreon. Then obviously if you did markets, you'd be earning money on that. I don't do markets anymore. I don't have time. I also teach through Zoom. So that's another revenue stream. If you have Etsy, that's another revenue stream. I have wholesale. That's another revenue stream. So, and the conference. So I literally have 7 or 8 different revenue streams for money. And as you get further along, you realize how important that is because I tell you, when I first opened my Shopify, I think it was 6 months before I got one sale. Now, a lot of people would have given up. After 3 months, they'd go, I've got no sales. No one wants to buy from me. Whereas now I do sell on there. So whether it's through that or through Fair, I sell on all of those. So that's the thing, you have to give yourself time. So like I said, if you weren't selling on your normal site, maybe you're at a market or Fair, and then that is going to subsidize everything. So it's important, that you really do think about those revenues. And you know what? It actually stops you being stressed because you're like, okay, no, I want anything, but that's okay because I've got this money coming in on the 1st.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's very important to think about that. And I know when we'll start, we've got our website and we think we've got our website, the sales are going to run in.
Yeah.
And they don't. They do not.
No, it's not like that. Yeah, exactly. And I think if we had a situation where as soon as you open your website, you had all these sales coming in, there'd be more people building up their websites and building businesses. But it's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be a journey that we go on. And yes, it's challenging. Yes, there are different things to learn and different things to consider, but that's part of the process. And that's why not everyone is suitable for running a business. But if this is your passion or if this is something that you want to do, you've just got to dig your heels in and do the work.
Yeah, and some of the most successful people say you have to fail many times before you succeed. They didn't just wake up and become wealthy. That did not happen. I always say, Walt Disney was almost broke, making Snow White, so that's the thing. And I know it's hard. And, when I first started this, I worked. Also, I took a portion of my wage to get this going because it's really hard if you have no money and then you're really counting the last few cents. That's hard because at the start you can't buy bulk. You just don't have the money. I mean, let's be honest, most of us are just average people here, that may just have a part-time job, or a lot of mums at home while their husbands have gone back to work and they may not have a job. So I think either you need to find a little bit of money to put away for a while, or you might need to get a part-time job even one day a week just so that you can subsidize doing this because, now I think I've been doing this about 4 years. All up, now nobody cry or die when I say this, but I think I've invested over $100,000. It's a lot of money, but that's not my own money. Everything I make, I put straight back in.
Yes.
So, and that's what I mean. I never had $1,000 to start with. I started with $16 was my original amount, and I bought business cards. So, and then from there, I spent a lot of time doing research. And like I said, then I had my job and I would put $50 a week from that job into buying supplies. So it took me a long time, and I mean, 4.5 years later, I still haven't taken a wage because you need that money to build it up. So
yeah, it's true. It's very true. It takes time and effort to build a successful business, regardless of what ads are thrown at you on TikTok or Instagram. It takes time and it takes dedication.
And, look, it's after now that, because once you build trust, then you will actually get people like bigger companies looking at you. And the amount of people that have said to me, I've been watching you, and I'm like, really? I mean, I've had not subscribers, I've had other YouTube channels that they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And then they've contacted me saying, I've been watching you. I can't believe that a little Aussie has grown so much on, just such a little channel, because everyone, I don't have a fancy camera. I do everything on my iPhone, everything, whether it's a Zoom that I'm doing, phone, or my photography is on an iPhone, my video taking's on an iPhone. I can't afford one of those super fancy, ones. So, you don't need polished. Sometimes people just want to see an average mum, and they want to see what you're doing, how you're doing it, and if you get a few negatives on YouTube, I mean, that's going to happen, I just delete them and move on.
Exactly. Yes. Let it just slide off your back.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's been a fun ride.
I love that. So I want to talk about the amazing soap and candle conference that you created. Where did the idea come from?
Well, you know what? When I started, I thought, oh, for a conference, because, when you do design, lots of conferences, and I've been to conferences in design. So then I thought, where is there one? And there really wasn't anything. So I said to a friend, okay, maybe I could do this. And my husband said, no one's going to pay to come to a conference. And I said, well, they might. And he said, they don't know you. Anyway, and I said, well, I'm going to try. So then actually what happened was I rang up Deluxe Shea. I actually was just looking for shea butter. And I actually wanted it in a smaller portion that I couldn't find on their site. They had it, but I just couldn't find it. So I rang them. Then I actually, just in the middle of it, I said, actually, going to think about doing a conference. And they were like, that is amazing. They said, we'll come. We'll be a guest speaker. And they flew in the first year I had it. And I mean, look, people like that, I mean, thousands of dollars coming into this conference. And just so everyone knows, my guest speakers all pay for their ticket. So they don't come in for free. They pay for all of their flights, accommodation, everything. They pay to be there because it does cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, I'm getting a company, it's a global company. And like I said, most of their products are sourced in Ghana. If they're interested, we need this in Australia. And then, of course, Pure Candle Supplies have probably been my biggest supplier and helper and supporter from day one. They've been, I mean, honestly, I can't say how amazing they've been. But, the one thing I want to tell everybody is when I first went into Pure Candles, I heard about them and I thought I'll go. And look, I'm one of those people, I just tell everyone to do, because if you don't, no one's going to follow you. And they said, oh, you make soap, would you be interested in testing? After I've met them a few times, I said, sure, give me some samples. I'll test them for nothing and let you know how it goes. So that's what I mean, like this communication and community and always talking about what you're doing does really help, everything. And anyway, and then what I did is I put it on social media. I was thinking of doing it. And I thought I've got to have another website. So I opened up another Shopify Experts, another cost, for another site. Anyway, once I did that, the first day of opening, I think 14 people bought it.
Amazing.
I thought, wow. I thought they've never even been to my conference before. There's never been one. And I was really honest. I said, this is new. We're in uncharted waters, and our idea was to Zoom it to other countries. And Zoom is not always clear. I mean, you're not going to get the same if you don't come in person. I mean, you're just not.
Yeah,
but
right.
Anyway, and then I had, and I had people that said, we'd like to actually speak, and Pure Candle Supply said, we'll do a demo for you as well. So that's what I mean. And it hasn't been easy, I'm going to be honest. It's been very hard, but I'm very passionate about it. And pretty much most people that come buy a ticket again for the next year. So that's where it started. It just started of, a little thought in my mind. And look, like anything, I always say, but you're going to have some people that say, oh, don't do it, it's not going to work, or other people sort of bash the idea. But if you're passionate, you learn to ignore those people. I mean, I'm in my 50s, so I've learned over my years. You just ignore it. And sometimes people do get a bit envious that you've done this, but honestly, I've made some amazing friends, absolutely amazing friends through this. So, when I started, I didn't know another soap maker. So,
amazing.
Yeah, but I do think we need it in Australia.
Yes, absolutely. And I was actually chatting with one of our mutual friends, Chrissy from Blossom Gum Soapery. She is on this. I've just recorded an episode with her on the podcast, and she was one of the attendees of the conferences, and she just raved about the vibe in the room, the incredible people, the community aspect, the benefits from watching the demos and listening to the guest speakers. And it was just such a positive recommendation. And I'm actually going to be a guest speaker next year, which I'm super excited about. And I can even tell you,
can't wait to have you.
I'm so excited. And I've got on my phone a countdown app, and I can tell you it's, as of recording today, it's 319 days to the conference. Because I'm so excited I had to write it down. So I mean, it's just incredible. Nice. So where can people purchase tickets if they want to attend the 2024 conference?
Just need to go over to the website. So everything's through a secure Ticketek app. So it's through an app, which is a ticketing app. You have to have that in Australia when you're selling any tickets, and that secures the people that are buying it as well. So they're protected as well as obviously us. So they just go over to the website, which is the Australian Soaping and Candle Conference.com. There's no AU, just .com. And on it, you will start to see that we start to release all different names. So once people have signed, so they sign an agreement to be a speaker or to come along. We also do have tables where people demonstrate their products on there so that you can touch and feel and look at all the different products from different suppliers as well. So we do have an amazing company that's coming out with all different like biodegradable glitters and different packs that you can use and things like that. So, which they're, candle safe, they're also soap safe. So that's going to be amazing. So that's space. They will be there. So I'm very excited. This is the first year that they're going to be here, which will be in 24. But yes, you can go on the site. It will start to list all the new people coming up and the supporters, and there's different pages. So you a little bit about it, but over the year, you'll start to see it being released more. And 2024 is a one-day event. So it's one day this year. And sometimes we do 2 days, but every second year it will be 2 days.
Perfect. I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can have a look at the conference website, and they can purchase in-person tickets or online as well. So that will be incredible for people to just immerse themselves in a really positive community and learn so much knowledge about the industry, whether it's candle or soaps, or perhaps learning the other craft of one. If you do candles and learn about soaps, or if you do soaps and learn about candles, which I just love. So we've come to the one of my favorite parts of the podcast, where I ask all my guests 3 questions all relating to candles. So question number 1, what is your favorite candle fragrance? It
would have to be Cashmere from Pure Candles. Yes. It is one of my most popular ones.
Yes.
I get asked for it in everything, no matter what I make.
Yes. So blonde woods and cashmere from Pure Candle Supplies. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Number 2, what do you love about candles?
Well, I really love the whole thing that it can really change your mind. It can make you feel really uplifted, or you can have one that's kind of cozy and warm. So, if it's those cold, horrible Melbourne day, you can just put the cashmere one really good for that, because it's kind of like a cozy, a little bit vanilla amber type.
Yes.
So I do love that idea. And I think now that I've introduced the stone kind of adds that coziness too, because the jar's kind of like this, so it kind of like zooms in a little bit. So it almost gives like this light, this ambiance in the room, So I do love that.
I love your vessels. They remind me of the hug mugs that you can buy, like when you're drinking coffee or tea, like you just want to like scoop it up in your hands and just hold it. It's so beautiful. And I love the marbled look as well. So yeah, they're just gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I love them too. They've been very popular since we introduced them. And that's what I say to people too. Think of something unique and different.
Yes, so true. Because as we both know, the candle industry, there's a few of us out there that are making and selling. So we need to have something that sets us apart from the majority. There's only so many people that can make a vanilla candle. But if you can have a different vessel or a unique label or something about your product that's different, that can make a huge difference in making more sales as well. And then number 3 is, what is one piece of advice you'd like to give to candle makers during their journey?
Don't give up. That is my number one advice. Never give up, because although there is a lot of people doing it, there'll be a lot of people to leave.
Yes.
So, I'm going to be honest, 60% will leave. So
probably
then at
more.
least more room for you to slide in, And as they say, a business takes 5 years to be successful, and honestly, I agree with that. Like I said, I'm around the 4 years, and it's really now that I'm starting to see the rewards. So just don't give up, just have a direction where you're going, and it's okay to pivot in another direction. If something's not working, just if that job's not working, you're getting no nibbles, no one even saying it looks nice, maybe you need to look at a different job. Like you said, a fun label. Just think of other things. And I always say, look, think outside the box. Don't just look at a candle and say it's white, I'm going to put black writing on it, because that's been done. I mean, think of something, whether you want a rainbow, you can buy vinyls that are like rainbow sort of inspired and things like that. You may have that, that audience, or I don't know. There might be something different. I've seen people painting with LED lighting paints on glasses as well. If you're a bit of an artist and can create something, there's always something different you can do.
It's just you're only limited by your imagination, and the possibilities are really limitless. So have fun with it, and as you say, never give up.
Yeah, never give up, and never lower your price if you think you have to.
Yes.
You say Kmart and all of those, the sort of bigger discounted places, they're probably not your target market, and that's okay. There's someone to buy that, and that's fine, but they're probably not your target market. So just find your target market, set your price, and your price shouldn't be, I see lots of people in groups saying, how much I charge? You shouldn't ask that. You should know how much it costs, and times it by 4, times it by 2, or plus 10%, whatever works for you. But I always say, don't just ask someone else. You need to know your COGS, which is your cost of goods, so that you can understand, what it's costing you. And of course, add your time into it. You need to also add in lots of things as insurance, other things. It's not just the candle.
Yes, definitely. It's so important to know what your cost of goods are, because if you're just choosing a number because someone else has a similar size candle for that price, you don't know what their cost of goods are. So you don't want to run at a loss and think, oh, I'm making sales, and then actually be losing money. So yeah, you need to do the research on that as well.
Yeah. And, just because I buy my candles for a certain amount, I buy a massive bulk. If I buy shea butter, I buy $1,000 in bulk. And some may be only able to get, 1 kilo of that rather than 30 kilos. So it means your cost of goods will be different to mine. So never compare yourself to another person. Just understand what that's going to cost. And then as you go along, then you can buy bulk, and then maybe, I wouldn't say lower your candles. I'd say now you're going to make more profit. You don't need to lower them just because you're getting it cheaper. Yeah. And you know what? I actually charged less when I started. Then I started charging more, and I got more customers, which is funny.
Interesting.
So, and sometimes people say, well, why is it so cheap? And then they question, is it good? So
yes, it's that perceived value.
Yeah, a lot involved, isn't there? But you can do it, everyone. Just don't give up and give it a good crack. I always say you need to give it 5 years. That's even the Australian taxation, their office, they say the same, 5 years. And there's plenty of things that you can use on free. There's so many things for anyone that doesn't know. Just go on there. You can do a business plan. It's totally free. You can print it out and write it for yourself, and it'll give you a bit of direction as well.
That's great advice. I feel like we could talk for hours on business development and candles and soaps and all the things, but I'm conscious not to keep up your time too long. So thank you so much, Rhonda, for your wisdom, your thoughts, your knowledge, and sharing that with the listeners and myself today. Where can people find you online if they would like to connect?
Sure. So they can find me on my website, which is nelsonsoapery.com. There's no AU. They can also find me in my Nelson Soapery Facebook group. We have a private, I call it the Be Kind group, because if there's any negatives, that person's barred forever. We don't have any negatives at all. So they can find me on there, as well as Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of course. I mean, I'm on every social media, so they can find me on all of those different ones. But generally, I say try, if you want to DM me, definitely either go onto my site, you can email me through that, all the details are on it, or of course, Instagram, where most of us are on that the most.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'll put all those links in the show notes so people can find you. Oh. And once again, thank you so much, Rhonda. I so appreciate your time today.
No worries. Thanks so much.
Thanks everyone for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's show, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.